Hi, this is Dan Morantz. I'm a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, New England Properties, and the creator and founder of Westerly Waves, a place to meet the people and organizations that make Westerly a better place. Today I'm sitting with Ruth Morgan at the Warm Shelter, and I'd like to welcome her. Ruth, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Dan.
So Ruth, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in the community since 1983, but in Ashaway. We also own property in Westerly. I have two children. My husband and I have a remodeling and restoration business. And I've been active in the community in various ways, somewhat following the ages of our children that reflected what it was that we did in the community.
Great. What organizations and how did you get involved with the Warm Shelter?
The Warm Shelter, interestingly, began with, the interest in it began with our son's activities in high school. And he was part of an organization in the high school that volunteered here and came and served and made dessert when it was their turn to serve. And he introduced me to the functions of the Warm Shelter and would come home and talk about the wonderful things that he felt the organization was doing. When I reached a point in my career, I used to be working at the hospital full time, and when I was no longer doing that, I was looking for something where I could have a hands-on activity and really reflected back on what our son Cyrus had said. And so I volunteered here, found out what was needed, and the rest has been history for the past 10 years or so.
So what are some of the things you've done here?
Here I have made meals, and we continue to make meals on any month that has 5 Wednesdays, which sounds strange, but usually there are organizations in the community or individuals that are committed to the fourth or every Saturday or the fourth Saturday or whatever, and that left those odd days out. So my husband and I took that and we started by figuring out the menu, purchasing things to make, making the food and serving it.
No, that's served to who?
That is served to anyone in the community that wishes to come in and have dinner.
Okay.
And we have served anywhere from 40 to probably 65 people in an evening. And I will say we get quite a few people because of the timing of it. As the 5th Wednesday, it's often near the end of when people have money available to buy the food that's necessary.
Yeah, because it makes it a little bit more difficult having to go that extra week. And
that end of month is challenging to a lot more people than I think the community realizes.
Wow. What is the mission? Because I know WARM, what it stands for, Westerly Area Rest Meals. I'm pretty sure that's what it stands for. What is their actual mission of the Warm Shelter?
If you don't mind, Dan, I would like to read what the
Absolutely,
mission is.
go right.
It is the mission of Westerly Area Rest Meals, the Warm Center, to provide a continuum of care and services to the homeless and needy by providing affordable housing and assuring supportive services, and to help the homeless and needy build self-esteem and move toward independent and responsible living.
Wow, that covers a lot.
It covers a lot, and as a volunteer here, both in the meal preparation and in attire for hire, I am simply amazed at the services that the Warm Shelter does provide.
What is attire for hire? I haven't heard that term other than...
Attire for hire is part of an organization. There's several throughout the state that provide clothes for people who are trying to get a job, appropriate professional clothes. And it can truly depend anywhere from a suit to more blue jeans and shirts, just
Okay.
depending on what the position is they're looking for. So we really carry everything from suits and professional dresses to blue jeans and what we think of as more casual kinds of clothing, or clothing you would use in construction. And then we also, at the same time, have a rack outside of our door and near where people can come in and eat, where they can simply take clothing off of that rack that they feel they may need.
So, obviously, if somebody is looking to get a job and they have the clothes, they need something that's neat, clean, not worn, worn out or anything like that. Can they be donated if I were to say, tired of this shirt, which probably won't happen, but where would I drop it off?
Absolutely. You would drop it off at the Warm Center, and just as you come in the door to the left, there's a place where things can be dropped off. We truly appreciate the donations of clean, well-repaired seasonal clothing. And I stress that because we really don't have storage for clothing. So if we get off-season clothing, it's more difficult. But it's wonderful to get a great donation and know that it's going to go to someone that it can truly make a difference in their lives.
So that takes us to part of that mission, which I heard is this is affordable housing and shelter for people, yet the goal is to get them out, get them back into the community. I know that from a meeting with Russ Partridge, who is the executive director, gave to the Lions Club a while back, was that the goal is to move them. This is not permanent housing.
Exactly.
One of the things that I know that the Lions did that follows along with the issue of clothing and all is that we provide, or the Lions provide, a fund, a discretionary fund for the warm shelter to give people money if they need to go to Providence to get their birth certificate or to renew the driver's license or some sort of issue that's caused a problem with their identity and they don't have the $35 or $65 it takes to renew. The Lions provide a fund for that. So that takes us to what other services does the warm shelter provide?
It provides many services. We do have an individual who people can come in just for those kinds of things, and they speak with her, and she covers all sorts of coordination with either other agencies that can be helpful. I remember before this wonderful building was built, her office was in the Attire for Hire area, in a little closed off, but sound traveled, and everything from helping people get heat, coordinating, maybe finding housing that was not available in the community, all kinds of social services roles. It also has, in this really, again, wonderful new building compared to what it used to be, it has apartments for individual living, where one-bedroom housing, and for individuals that in some way may be handicapped but are certainly more than capable of living on their own or may have special kinds of needs, so they get to live by themselves, and when they want to get together in this community room.
We're currently sitting in the community room. It's sort of the living room for the residents of the apartments. One of the things that I know from, again, talking with Russ was the fact that the people who live here do not have substance abuse problems. They are not permitted to drink. They can't be on drugs or anything like that. These are just people who are having a hard time.
Exactly. And I want people to understand that's true not only of the people in the apartments here, but also the residents who are here in a sort of dorm-like situation that's truly a temporary housing, as you had referred to earlier. They cannot have any kind of an addiction problem.
That's important, I think, for the community to know that this is not a place to fear.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely not. And one of the greatest thrills when you work here over time is when you see someone come in and so excited because they found a job, and then they're able to move on to their own housing, which leads me to another function that's covered here, and that is family housing, which really the apartments in this building and over there in the more dormitory type setting is really not available to families. Well, they have Harvest Homes, which again finds apartments and actually has their apartments for families that are in need.
Okay. One of the things, and you said the joys, when I came here maybe last week one day to talk to somebody about doing this, and I was standing outside trying to figure out exactly where to go in, 3 people asked me, "Can I help you?" And joy on their face to know that you could just see that they were happy to help. And I think that just, it surprised me a little bit, but I always am amazed at the joy and the respect that people feel when they get a hand up.
It's really true. I truly appreciate, and it's generally the residents that will come, and as we sort through the clothing, and if it's not something we need, we pass it on to another agency, but it becomes big bags and we put them into a bin. And without fail, if there is a resident anywhere in the area, it's, "Can I help you? What can I do for you?" There are residents who say, "Oh, there's a lot of things to go through. Is there something I can do for you?" So immediately I see this interest and sincere interest in giving back, because for me, they generally don't know me, and there's no reason for them. They haven't been told to do it, but you do see that personal generosity in the best way that they can.
I think they're so appreciative of what's being given to them that they turn around and want to do it twice as much. And that's the basis of this show, is that I've been given a good life and I want to give back to the community. So that's that. Does the warm shelter, I know that they have some funding, government funding, but they do fundraisers.
They do fundraisers.
What are some of I know the big one is the one that you're just not going to ever get me to participate in. Because I don't even want to put my hand in the cold water this morning.
No, definitely that would be the penguin plunge, the famous penguin plunge. And that is, we encourage everyone to do that, of course, but I can't speak to it personally. My husband has done it, however. I will say he's done it. But I have a lot of admiration for those folks who are willing to go into that water. But we do have a fundraiser coming up shortly, if I could talk about it a little bit. And it's our bowl-a-thon, and it is being held at Alley Cats on March 25th. And it's people form teams, and they're usually very imaginative trophies that people will get for winning teams, and it's basically a fundraiser.
Great. Well, hopefully you can get some more information. I'll post some of it to the site, and you can obviously call the warm shelter. Do you have a phone number for here?
I do, and I would encourage, because you could form a team, you could write a check. If you're a purveyor of any kind of foods, you could donate food. But it's Jeannie who's the director of development that gets called, and her number is 596-9276, and that's extension 106.
Great.
But form a team and join the fun.
Absolutely. It sounds like a fun thing to do. And that's March 25th.
March 25th.
Great.
At 6 p.m.
We're going to take a little step away from the warm shelter. I'm going to ask, what do you love most about Westerly, Ashway, South County?
I love the people. I truly, it's the right size community for me. If I want access to a city, it's a hop on the train and there you are, north or south. But it is a caring and giving community. I love the seasons. I love to look outside at the snow. I'm not a sports person. And we have the beach. I think we have the best. We have theater. We have art groups. We have our newspaper. And a lot of little community newspapers here and there. And community support and enormous community support for a myriad of organizations. So it's a great company. It's a great area to feel an important part of, and it feels good.
It was one of the things that drew me to Westerly, and I talk about this in my introductory video for this, was the fact that the first time we walked through downtown, everybody we walked past said hello. And I grew up in New Jersey, and that didn't happen. And I agree. I agree. That's probably my favorite part of Westerly is the people.
Yeah,
I love being a part of it.
And don't we have a great park? You know, when you think this is a small community that has an incredible park and an incredible library. It's just great.
Which is celebrating 125 years this year, which is amazing. They're going to be doing some work in the park and things like that I'm going to hopefully be able to take advantage of.
Oh, that's great.
So
it's a great place to just walk or bring the grandkids or anything, or learn about trees. I'm always looking at the name tags on the trees.
I know they're going to be taking down a couple of big trees that have passed their lifetime, and I get some of the wood out of that. I'm going to be doing some cool things from that.
Just the other day, I was walking through the park and saw a huge crosscut of a big tree, and I was curious what that was for. I was hoping that they were going to make something out of that great wood that would keep the tree going.
Over by the barn?
Yes.
Alan's trying to make a table out of that.
That's great.
That came from the beech tree that I got quite a bit of wood from. So it's a great park, and it is a gathering place for this community.
Oh, it really is.
You know, the warm shelter, I think that the people here, the residents here, have the advantage that if they want to go for a walk in the park, they're a block and a half away.
Very true.
You know, it's a pretty lucky place to be able to live.
It's a lucky place, and I'm thrilled to have a ginkgo tree from their annual gardening sale, and they'll sometimes have sell things that have grown there. So
nice.
One of our proud trees is that ginkgo.
So as I told you earlier, this is a show for my real estate business. So I always like to ask people for a funny or fun story about real estate. I get to hear all the horror stories. I'd love for you to tell me something fun about real estate.
Well, first of all, the fun thing around here is just, I love the old buildings. And we bought one of those great old buildings, a house from the 1750s. Wow. We didn't really look at it particularly carefully. It was just love at first sight. And when we finally moved in, a couple months after we moved into the area, our 5-year-old son was going to the bathroom and the floor went out under him. And down he went. He caught himself and yelled. And it was, we knew we had to do a major restoration, but that was proof of the need for a restoration. So know what you're buying.
Yes.
And
definitely.
Be prepared to deal with it.
Yes, because you never know what's underneath.
You never know what's underneath.
That's great. That's really fun. Ruth, thank you so much for coming on. And this was a really fun conversation for me. If you would like to support the Warm Shelter, again, please give them a call. Come out to the bowl-a-thon, support it, form a team, do something. If you have some gently used seasonal clothing that's in good condition, that might help somebody take another step up in their lives, please donate it. The Warm Shelter is located on Spruce Street, right next to the UBS yard. It's a great facility, and support them as they need it. Thank you, and have a great day.